Hello everyone. We will now discuss Chapter 8, Analyzing and Interpreting Qualitative Data. Analyzing qualitative data requires understanding how to make sense of the text and images so that you can form answers to your research questions. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to identify the 6 steps in the process of analyzing and interpreting qualitative data. Describe how to prepare and organize the data for analysis. Describe how to explore and code the data. Use codes to build description and themes. Construct a representation and reporting of qualitative findings. Make an interpretation of the qualitative findings. And advance validation for the accuracy of your findings. Before we start, allow me to introduce our reporters. We have Jumela Maika Justiniano, Nurhani Ilaga, and Judy Hanohan. For our first reporter, Jumela Justiniano.
Analyzing and interpreting qualitative data is under on the chapter 8. So, analyzing and interpreting qualitative data requires understanding how to make sense of text and images so that you can form answers to your research questions. And also, it outlines 6 key steps in this process. What are those 6 key steps? Those are to prepare and organize the data, explore and code the database, describe findings and form themes, represent and report findings, interpret the meaning of the findings, validate the accuracy of the findings. So, let us first discuss the prepare and organize the data. What are the 6 steps in analyzing and interpreting qualitative data? We already discussed, I already mentioned the 6 steps in analyzing and interpreting qualitative data. So let's just proceed to the next. So that is the qualitative process of data analysis, as you can see, that table. Then the first bullet says it describes the inductive approach of qualitative analysis, starting from specific data like interview transcripts and moving towards broader themes and categories, while initially breaking down the data into smaller parts. The ultimate aim is to create a comprehensive overview. So next, this passage highlights that in qualitative research, data collection and analysis happen simultaneously. While gathering data, researchers also analyze previously collected information to identify major ideas. This differs from quantitative research, where data collection precedes analysis. Then, this passage indicates that qualitative research involves iterative phases where researchers cycle between data collection and analysis. For instance, they may gather stories from individuals and then return for further information to fill gaps in those stories as their analysis progresses. And then, qualitative data analysis involves multiple readings of the data to develop a deeper understanding with each analysis session. There isn't a single universally accepted method for qualitative analysis. It's an eclectic process drawing from various guidelines. Qualitative research is interpretive, meaning researchers make personal assessments to describe situations or identify themes. Interpretations can vary between individuals due to differing perspectives. Qualitative research also involves personal interpretation, meaning different people might interpret data differently based on their perspectives or based on their own perspectives. So next, how do you prepare and organize the data for analysis? So this is the first step in analyzing and organizing the data. So, the initial preparation of data for analysis involves organizing large amounts of information, converting it from spoken or written form to a typed file, and deciding whether to analyze it manually or with computer assistance. Next, organize data. In the early stages of qualitative analysis, you arrange your data into folders or computer files. This is crucial because qualitative research often collects a large amount of information. For example, even a short interview can generate many pages of transcribed text. Managing such extensive data requires careful organization. This also could involve creating a matrix or table to organize sources, sorting materials by type, interviews, observations, documents, visual materials, or categorizing them by participants, site, or location. Additionally, it's wise to keep duplicate copies of all data for backup and reference. Then, transcribe data. During qualitative data collection, you gather text from interviews or field notes during observations. To analyze this data, you need to convert it into a digital format. This can involve typing out the text or listening to recordings and writing down what's said. If time or resources are limited, only some interviews or observational notes may be transcribed. However, for thorough analysis, it's best to transcribe everything. Transcribing can be time consuming, typically taking about 4 hours to transcribe 1 hour of recording. So it's important to budget enough time for this labor intensive task. And then transcription. Transcription is the process of converting audio recordings or field notes into written text. To facilitate transcription, transcriptionists may use special equipment that allows them to control the playback of recordings. This equipment helps transcribers start and stop recordings or adjust playback speed to make it easier to follow along. These guidelines aim to make the transcription process smoother and more efficient, whether it's done by a transcriptionist or by the researcher themselves. Transcription involves converting audio recordings or field notes into written text. Here's an explanation of each bullet point. So, create 2-inch margins. This allows space for jotting down notes during data analysis. Next, leave extra space between comments. This helps differentiate between the interviewer and interviewee during analysis. Then, highlight or mark questions. Even though you won't analyze your own questions, marking them helps identify where questions start and end for easier analysis of answers. Next, use detailed headers. Headers should provide comprehensive information about the interview or observation session, aiding in organizing and referencing transcripts. The last one, transcribe all words. So, every spoken word should be transcribed. Use pause to indicate breaks in speech, which can provide insight into moments when interviewees hesitate or struggle to respond. Additionally, note other actions like laughter, then interruptions to telephone rings, or unclear speech to inaudible, so they can contribute to understanding the context of the conversation. Transcribing all words captures the nuances of the interview for thorough analysis. Then, analyze by hand or computer. So, researchers can choose between hand analysis and computer analysis for qualitative data. Hand analysis involves manually reading and marking the data, often using color coding or physically cutting and pasting text onto cards. Some researchers prefer hand analysis when dealing with smaller datasets. feeling more comfortable without computer software, or wanting a hands-on approach to stay close to the data. Hand analysis can be time-consuming but allows for a deeper engagement with the material. And then next is the figure 8.2, the table. As you can see, that is the hints for transcribing audio tape interviews. So these suggestions aim to improve the quality and ease of transcribing audio tape interviews. Those are the suggestion kasi na nakapaste sa table. So use an external microphone or place the recorder close to participants to reduce background noise. Then use a telephone pickup device for the telephone interviews. Keep recording equipment away from potential sources of loud noise to prevent interference and more. For those interested in technology, computer analysis of qualitative data is advantageous for those with a strong interest in technology and the time to learn. It involves using specialized software to store, analyze, sort, and visualize data. This method is suitable for handling large data sets, requires proficiency with the software and comfort with computers, and may necessitate access to our purchase of appropriate programs. Computer analysis allows for detailed examination of individual words and sentences, making it ideal for capturing specific codes or meanings within passages. Then, use of qualitative computer programs are tools that aid in data analysis but do not perform the analysis automatically. Instead, they offer various features to streamline the process. These programs store and organize data, allowing researchers to align labels or codes to different segments. Additionally, they facilitate searching through the data and locating specific text or words, making it easier for researchers to manage and analyze their qualitative data efficiently. The next slide is the procedures for using software programs. So, the procedures for using software programs in qualitative data analysis is the prepare files, convert word processing files like interviews or field notes into text format or directly import them into the chosen software. The next, choose software. Select a program with features for storing, organizing, labeling, and searching data effectively. Then, enter and name files. Input the file into the program and assign a name for identification. Next, mark relevant text. Review the file and highlight sentences or paragraphs relevant to participants' responses. And then, assign code labels. Label the highlighted text with codes representing themes or concepts. Then, search for coded text. Use the software search function to find all the text matching each code. And the last one is the collapse into themes. Condense the coded text into broader themes or categories, providing evidence for each. The basic features of software programs. The text highlights the essential features researchers should consider when selecting qualitative data analysis software. This include user-friendliness, compatibility with text and image files, capabilities for reading, reviewing, categorizing, and easily locating passages within the data. Additionally, less common but still relevant considerations may involve merging analysis from different researchers or importing or exporting analysis to other software program like SPSS or spreadsheets. And then the figure 8.3 or the third table, it that is the features to consider when comparing qualitative data analysis software. Ease of integration in using the program, Windows or Macintosh compatible? Is it easy to use in getting started? Can you easily work through a document? And so on. Next is specific programs available. The text suggests that selecting a software program requires examining its specific features. This can be done by visiting the websites of the programs to evaluate evaluate their offerings. Additionally, Mac users can consider software that allows their operating system to run Windows PC programs. The text hints at providing a summary of major programs available for qualitative data analysis. So a brief summary of major program follows. So the first major program is the Atlas.t or the www.atlast.com. This Windows PC program is for organizing and analyzing various data types like text, graphics, audios, and visuals. It facilitates coding, annotating, and comparing segments of information with the unique feature of building visual networks, connecting passages, memos, and codes. The next one is the Hyper Research or the www.researchware.com. Available for Windows PC and Mac, it's an easy-to-use qualitative software for coding, retrieving, and building theories. Supports multimedia sources like text, graphics, audio, and video with solid code and retrieve capabilities and additional theory building features. And the third one is the Max QDA or the MaxQDA www.maxqda.com or maxqda.com, a powerful Windows PC program for text analysis, supporting both grounded theory-oriented and sophisticated methods, combines qualitative and quantitative procedures with a user-friendly interface, featuring unique capabilities like code weighing and data import or export with statistical packages. And the last one is the NVivo or the NVIVO, the www.qsrinter.qsrinternational.com. Designed for Windows PC, it efficiently manages non-numerical unstructured data, supporting coding, exploration, and analysis. Notable features include text data, matrix creation for comparisons, and visual mapping of analysis categories.
For our next reporter, Norhani Ilaga.
Hello everyone, I am Nurhani Al-Alaga and I will be discussing the topic entitled How do you explore and code the data? Explore the general sense of the data. After you have organized and transcribed your data and decided whether to hand it or computer it, you need to analyze it first. And it is the time to begin data analysis. This consists of exploring the data and developing codes as first steps in analysis. Preliminary exploratory analysis is applied to research problems that have not yet received much attention. Without assuming anything, its goal is to investigate and comprehend the foundation of the research topic, compiling baseline data, defining research questions, formulating hypotheses, and establishing research properties are the main goals. The next one is code the data. The process of coding involves organizing textual material by segmenting it into text or image segments, assigning codes to each segment, checking the codes for duplication and overlap, and collapsing the codes into overarching themes. There are several steps involved in coding data. Number 1, get a sense of the whole. We need to read all of the transcriptions carefully and jot down the ideas that comes in mind. Number 2, pick one document. Select the topic that is most intriguing, the shortest, or the top of the list. Number 3, begin the process of coding the document. In this process, texts and text fragments are identified. Codes are labels used to describe a segment of text or an image. Codes can address many different topics, such as those listed here. After coding an entire text, you need to do the number 4. Make a list of all code words. Your objectives in here is to capsulize the code and to reduce code into a small number of themes. Number 5, take this lost and go back to the data. Use a preliminary organizing scheme to check whether the new codes emerge. and encircle the specific codes from the participants that supports the code. Number 6, reduce the list of codes to get 5 to 7 themes or descriptions of the setting or participants. But before that, let's find out what is themes. Themes is also called categories. Themes are similar codes aggregated together to form a major idea in the database. Identify the 5 to 7 themes by examining codes that the participants discuss most frequently, are unique or surprising, have the most evidence to support them, or are those who might expect to find when studying the phenomenon. The reason for the small number of themes is that it is best to write a qualitative report providing detailed information about a few themes rather than general information about many themes. Description is a detailed rendering of people, places, or events in a setting in qualitative research. You might use codes such as seating arrangements, teaching approach, or physical layout of the room to describe a classroom where instruction takes place. Think aloud about coding a transcript. This is not only coding a transcript but also developing multiple codes and themes. In figure 8.5, it shows a sample of transcript. The transcript resulted from an interview for a project exploring changes in the curriculum in a rural high school. I have here an example of interview transcript. The next topic is how do you use codes to build description and themes? You need to examine the data in detail to describe what you learn and developing themes or broad categories of idea from the data. When describing and developing themes from the data, it consists answering the major research questions and forming in-depth understanding of the central phenomenon through description and thematic development. There are several types of themes, and authors typically identify them as follows. The first one is the ordinary themes. The second theme was the unexpected themes. It is the themes that are surprises and not expected to surface during a study. The third one was the hard to classify themes. These themes contain ideas that do not easily fit into one theme or that overlap with several themes. The next theme is the major and minor themes. These themes represent the major ideas and the minor secondary ideas in a database. Multiple perspective translates to you the present a variety of opinions from many people and data sources as proof of a concept. It's crucial to present a difficult issue from multiple points of view, e.t. of the event in qualitative investigation. Multiple perspectives are important when conveying the complexity of the phenomenon in qualitative research. In this passage, for example, the authors report the perspective of the Chief Student Affairs Officer, University Board members, Campus Security Officers, the Counseling and Psychological Services Office, a professor on campus. I have here the elements of theme development in a narrative passage. Contrary evidence. Data that doesn't validate or support the themes, it offers conflicting details regarding a theme. The next one is saturation. This is the point where you need to identify the major themes and know new information that can add to your list of themes or to detail the existing theme. You can find the evidence through the specific examples and quotes to illustrate the themes. Layering and interrelating themes. In qualitative studies, you will see that they stop at reporting description and themes, but they add additional hardness and insights onto the study by layering themes or interconnecting them. Layering themes. In here, it builds on the idea of the major and minor themes but organizes the themes by layering it from basic themes to more sophisticated one. Layering the analysis. And it also called first and second order abstraction. It means that you are representing the data by using associated level of scheme, and you need to subsume the minor theme within the major theme and include major themes within the broader one. It makes the entire analysis become more complex as the researcher works upward and toward the broader level of abstraction. The layers will help you understand the use of themes in layered qualitative analysis. The number of layers may vary from 2 to 4 or 5, and recognizing these layers will help you understand the use of the themes in layered qualitative analysis.
I have here the layers in the qualitative analysis.
And the last is interrelating themes. It means that the researcher needs to connect themes to show the chronology or sequence of the event. It also includes the specific strategies employed by the chair and the outcomes of using the strategy. In short, this process displays an interconnected set of events or activities in the process of chairs enhancing faculty performances.
And our last reporter, Judy Hanohan. So let us now proceed to our next topic. How do you represent and report findings? So after you code the data and analyze for description and themes, layer and interconnect themes and report findings to your research questions, this calls for displaying findings in tables and figures and constructing a narrative to explain what you have found in response to your research questions. Next, representing findings. So, qualitative researchers often display their findings visually by using figures or pictures that augment the discussions. So, different ways to display data are listed here. First, create a comparison table. So, this table, it compares groups based on themes. It allows for easy visualization of similarities and difference between groups, aiding in understanding and analysis. Next, develop a hierarchical tree diagram. This diagram visually shows the themes and how they're connected, starting from broad to narrow. This format helps to understand the hierarchy and interconnections between different themes within the research. So here is a sample of the comparison table. Next, present figures. So boxes or visuals are used to illustrate connections between themes. So each box represents theme and lines or arrows that shows the connections between them. It enhances the understanding and analysis. Draw a map. So the map depicts the physical layout of the setting to show where different activities took place. We also have developed a demographic table. So a demographic table provides readers with key information about the participants or sites involved in the study, such as age, gender, occupation, and etc. So below is the sample of the demographic table. Next, reporting findings. So when reporting findings in qualitative research, the main way is through narrative discussion. So this is where you write about your findings in detail, summarizing what you've learned from analyzing the data. There is also no specific way to do this, but there are some common approaches like describing things, identifying themes, or showing how themes connect. So the way you write about your findings depends on why you did the research and what kind of data you analyzed. Also, consider the narrative elements that go into a report of your findings. So we have here the forms of narrative discussions in qualitative research. So when analyzing your database for descriptions and themes, keep these tips in mind. First, state the dialogue in the participant's native language or in the regional or ethnic dialect. Use metaphors and analogies. Report quotes from interview data or from observations of individuals. So these quotes can capture feelings, emotions, and ways people talked about their experience. Report multiple perspectives and contrary evidence. Identify these perspectives based on different individuals, sources of information, or multiple views held by one person. Write in vivid detail. Find good descriptions of an individual, event, or activity. Lastly, specify tensions and contradictions in individual experience. For the next topic, how do you interpret findings? So, in qualitative research, interpretation is about understanding the data and extracting lessons learned. So, it's like stepping back to see the bigger picture of forming personal views while comparing with past studies. So, this interpretation is usually found in the final section of the study, like discussion or conclusions, where the deeper meaning and implications of the findings are highlighted. It's the part where you make sense of what you've discovered and explain its significance. This includes the following: a review of major findings and how the research questions were answered. Second, personal reflection of researcher about the meaning of the data. Third, personal views compared or contrasted with the literature. Fourth, limitations of the study. And fifth, suggestions for future research. So for the first part, summarize findings. So in the discussion section, you start by summarizing the main findings. You might restate each research questions and share the findings each one. This part gives readers a quick overview of what you've discovered, complementing the detailed results in the description and theme sections. It's like giving them a highlights before diving into the specifics. Next, the convey personal reflections. Qualitative researchers include personal reflection in their studies because they believe that personal views inevitably influence the interpretations. So these reflections are based on hunches, insights, and intuitions. Since researchers often spend significant time in the field interacting with individuals, they are well positioned to reflect on the broader meaning of the data. Next, make comparison to the literature. So in interpretation, qualitative researchers refer to past studies to understand how their findings relate to existing research. They show whether their findings support or differ from the previous studies. So this comparison might align qualitative findings with social science concepts from literature or blend personal views with educational or social science terms. Lastly, we have the offer limitations and suggestions for future research. So similar to the quantitative research, qualitative researchers also point out limitations and suggest areas for future research. So they may discuss issues in data collection, um, unanswered participant questions, or the need for more selective sampling. So, recommendations for future research could involve applying findings in practice, like classroom or specific demographic groups, or calling for further investigation by gathering more data or asking additional questions. So they might also suggest implications for decision making, such as improving campus planning learning for handling violent incidents, target at the audience identified in the study's introduction. We are now at the end of chapter 8. How do you validate the accuracy of your findings? To ensure accuracy, qualitative researchers validate findings through methods like member checking and triangulation. They emphasize the interpretive nature of research, encouraging self reflection on how personal factors influence interpretations. Terms like authenticity and trustworthiness describe this credibility. So, various validation strategies exist, including those outlined by Criswell and Miller 2000, but the focus remains on ensuring the accuracy of findings. We have here three primary forms typically used by qualitative researchers. First, triangulation. Second, member checking. Third, external auditing. Triangulation. It is about using various sources of evidence like different individuals, types of data, or methods of data collection to validate descriptions and themes in qualitative research. By drawing on multiple sources, it ensures accuracy and reliability in the study's findings. Next, member checking. So, member checking involves verifying the accuracy of findings by consulting with participants in the study. So, researchers present their findings to the participants and ask for feedback to ensure the report accurately reflects their perspectives. So, this process enhances the credibility and validity of the research findings. Lastly, the external audit. External audit involves bringing in someone from outside the study to view different aspects of research, which is far opposite with the member checking. So this person evaluates the project and provides feedback on its quality. The audit can happen during or after the study, which helping to ensure rigor and reliability in the research process. Auditors typically ask questions such as those mentioned. The following questions are the findings grounded in the data? Are inferences logical? Are the themes appropriate? Can inquiry decisions and methodological shifts be justified? What is the degree of researcher bias? What strategies are used for increasing credibility?